Happy Thursday, Facebook friends. Welcome back to Facebook. I'm Angie Garza, Director of Professional Learning and Educational Services at ROE 47, serving Lee, Ogle, and Whiteside counties. And if you're joining us back here this fine Thursday on Facebook, you'll know that it's time for another edition of Teacher Talk. And as we usher out the month of February, we cannot let this month end without highlighting some important things and events and conversations that are happening in our very own communities, including a very exciting annual summit on college and career readiness that is coming up on Friday, February 24th. More on that in just a moment from our special guest. But as we kick off our conversations related to college and career readiness, I am pleased to welcome in a dual capacity here today, my friend, colleague, and co-host, Ms. Stacy Dingus. And Stacy, the reason why I say dual capacity is because you and I like to have these conversations and really find out what's going on in our communities. But you also play a very special role in our office in terms of college and career readiness in all of our work with our pathway endorsement programs, including education and ag. So this is going to be a great moment of sharing this wonderful summit that we hold annually with all of our viewers here today on Facebook.
Good morning, Angie. Yes, I work with the Pathway program and have for a couple of years now. We talk constantly about that educator shortage, but that conversation has led to a bigger conversation in the Lee, Ogle, and Whiteside area, and that is the idea of giving students hands-on real learning experiences before they exit high school. So when that big question is presented to them, what are you going to do after high school? They have a better opportunity, and I'm proud to say that in the Lee, Ogle, Whiteside areas, partnering with Sauk Valley Community College, we have really done some great work over the last couple of years to help schools and school districts create a great program. So this College and Career Readiness Summit goes right in line with that work. Something I'm proud of my coworkers, and think ultimately it really is what's best for students to give them this opportunity to say, you have the rest of your life ahead of you. And we have given you some opportunities to really dig in and see what you want to do and maybe what you don't want to do. So I encourage, we'll talk a little bit more about it, but I encourage every one of our viewers that are on today to tune in and get registered for that summit and be a part of this important conversation.
Stacy, you mentioned our partnership with Sauk Valley Community College, and that is something, as you mentioned, that I'm also very proud of. We know that this is a community lift. We know that this isn't something that we could do alone in isolation in our K-12 systems. And so to have community partners as well as a strong partnership with our post-secondary institutions in the area is so vital and so appreciated. And in that spirit, I would like to introduce to our Facebook viewers this morning a dear friend of mine. We call ourselves partners in crime, although no crimes have ever been committed on our watch. My colleague, Ms. Janice Jones, who is the PASS coordinator and college and career readiness coordinator for the college. Janice, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us here this morning on Teacher Talk.
Well, thank you, ladies. It's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to sharing information about the summit.
So, Janice, this is a summit. Talk about proud moments. This is kind of like proud mom moment. We've been offering this summit in our area for many years now. We are proud to say it is our annual summit held each February. And, the theme that we always circle back to and the conversations that we always try to kind of pull together are around this idea of college and career readiness. And a few years ago, we even had a moment where Stephanie Malia Krause maybe made us reframe that sentiment of college and career readiness, and it's really just more about life readiness on that road that each of our students are traveling. So, as we start off and contextualize our conversations for this morning, when we say CCR, all those fun acronyms in education, when we talk about college and career readiness, what does that really mean to be college and career ready?
That's a great question, and it means a lot of different things to different people. However, generally, what we're talking about is having students, number one, academically ready for whatever happens after high school. It means having them academically ready to enroll in credit-bearing coursework, whether that be working towards a certificate or a 2-year or 4-year degree, or even anything past that, or any combination of that. It also means having students employability ready, helping them to develop the skills to go into the workforce and be successful so that they can be team players, problem solvers, communicators. They're reliable, they're accountable. That's what our businesses and industries are looking for in those students. And so that's also a part of being college and career ready. And we're looking at students having the opportunities in high school to grow in those areas, so that transition to whatever comes after high school is smooth, whether that's workforce, college, military, whatever happens for them.
So, Janice, in kind of reflecting on what you just said about college and career readiness, we've got a lot of things going on in this area with regards to that work. It is multifaceted, and that's why earlier I mentioned this is such a huge lift, and it's so great to have all of those partnerships at the table. You mentioned being academically ready. So wherever a student's journey might take them after they exit our K-12 institutions, are they ready if they choose to go on to a 2-year or a 4-year institution or even a trade school? Are they ready for credit-bearing coursework? And so in our 3 counties, Sauk Valley community, we've been really working in earnest on transitional English and transitional math, both of which are programs that are designed to provide that extra boost in a student's last year of high school. And if they pass those courses with a C or better, then they are automatically, they get the transcript stamped with that portability stamp, and they're able to enter into credit-bearing coursework at the post-secondary level with many of our 2-year and some of our 4-year institutions across the state. We've had some incredible educators who are working collaboratively to do that work and to make sure that we are providing every opportunity for success in English language arts and math with our students. You also mentioned being ready for employment, those essential employability skills. And so a lot of that work is embedded in our career pathway endorsement program. So we've been really working in earnest with several of our districts across the 3 county areas to work on creating pathway endorsement programs in education, as well as agriculture, manufacturing, and the health sciences as our newest one. And so there's a lot of wonderful things that are happening. When I come back to that, it's kind of ironic because we're working very hard to open up that opportunity gateway for students to explore, to engage, to obtain dual credit, to have work-based learning experience, but also doing it in such a way that it is very well thought out, very intentional, and very well communicated. So it's not just a thing, it's not just a program, it's part of our culture. We are making the communities our classrooms.
Well, ladies, this sounds like a big job. I'm not going to lie. What great things that we're doing, what great conversations to have, which leads me to my next question, Janice. Let's talk specifically about the summit that we have scheduled for Friday, the 24th, February 24th, virtually. What can viewers expect, people who are registering and will join us on that day? How did this summit come about? What can they expect? What's involved in creating this summit? And tell us a little bit more.
Oh, I'd be glad to, Stacy. So the summit started in 2016, and it's covered all kinds of topics, from creating a P20 partnership, understanding Generation Z, exploring the pathway endorsements, providing competencies, helping districts update and create a PACE document, providing what students need for, as Angie said, life success, those competencies, cash, connections, and credentials, and making that happen for all students. So this has been happening yearly for quite a while now. And I can say that it became a piece of our annual tradition as Sauk years ago decided that they wanted to create an initiative to help high school students successfully transition from high school to college as well as to employment. And so we worked hard to start to create and build on partnerships that were already there. We established those from the college to the ROE, to local high school districts, to the Chamber of Commerce, to business and industry. And from that partnership work, this summit grew. And that's how it all happened. So our purpose overall is just to provide that information to our 3-county area about trends in education, to provide ideas on how to meet the needs of students and staff, how to enlist our pre-K teachers, our administrators, our college faculty, advisors, and staff, and help them to see that we're not siloed. You know, that the pre-K-12 district isn't one entity and the community college isn't another entity, and that business and industry isn't a third entity, but that we all have to overlap and work together. And so basically what we're doing is helping our education community understand the needs of students and staff and provide ways to meet those needs, and then help them to develop partnerships within the business community.
So, Janice, that is a wonderful history of where we've been. We've looked at specifically how students have changed, and how our communities have changed over the last several years. And so the biggest question is, how are we adapting to that change? How are we becoming the change? And so the title of this year's summit, Facebook friends, please note that that is Friday, February 24th on Zoom. I don't want anybody to miss that. The title of this year's summit is I Hate School. Now what? And so we know that that is a very intriguing and controversial title for this year's summit, but we feel that it's also very relevant and very appropriate. We have a lot of anecdotal data as well as some quantitative data to show that students, not only in our community, but across the state and across the nation, have disengaged with their education. We also know that there has been a lot of trauma that has occurred over the last several years that impact student learning. We know that our learners have changed. We know that the lifespan of an average individual has grown exponentially, and that they won't just have one career in their lifetime, that road that they're traveling is not always just a straight and narrow shot. It winds and it curves. And so what are we doing to best understand our students and why they're disengaging? Why maybe they don't have the same experiences as us in the classroom environment that we had when we were in school, maybe 5, 10, 15 years ago. So taking into consideration all of the things that have happened over the last several years, how our learners have changed, how our communities and our world has changed, how then do we respond appropriately and in a timely and engaging, meaningful and intentional fashion to meet those needs? Because we don't want 4th graders saying, I really don't enjoy coming to school. I don't see the value of coming to school. I don't understand the purpose of what I'm learning. We want them excited. We want them to be future focused, and we want them to be back in our communities, building wonderful and robust communities where citizens are growing and thriving, and continuing to respond to community needs.
You know, something that both of you said that kind of struck me is I think about when I entered education years ago, and how it really was, that's the school in our town and the kids go to school there Monday through Friday, why I do my own thing. And Janice, you had mentioned how we're now kind of breaking down these barriers, and it's not so siloed anymore, that we are reaching out to community members, to families, to industry, and saying, how can we work together to build a stronger foundation for our youth, which ultimately is, if you think about it, makes sense, right? We can't expect educators to do this job on their own. And if we really are producing students and children to be our future, then of course we have to get the business and industry involved. So with that being said, Janice, the summit, Friday, February 24th, virtual, is open to pre-K through 20 educators and community members, stakeholders. So if I'm on there and I'm registering, what can I expect that day? What will I learn? Who will I get to listen to? Tell me a little bit more about the actual summit.
Well, this year's summit is all about stretching our thinking about what school could be. If kids hate school the way it is now, what could it be? How can we meet the needs of all our students? And so we're going to start the day with Dr. Todd Bowman, Associate Professor of Psychology at Indiana Wesleyan University. And he's going to address the changes that students and staff have encountered both socially, emotionally, as a result of the pandemic and the trauma that went along with that. And he's going to provide some key implementation strategies for helping students, as he terms it, learn how to learn again. And so how to re-engage in their learning and to move ahead with that. So we look forward to that as our keynote. And then we are going to have some additional presentations from some area schools, as well as some schools across the country that have initiated some new and innovative practices within their own districts. So we'll hear from one Illinois high school who is allowing students to gain math credit outside of the traditional classroom through work-based learning experiences, through self-taught knowledge of ways that students can experience math and then come back, prove that they know it, and then get credit for that knowledge. So we look forward to that. We're going to engage with a school district from San Diego, California, who connects all of their students their junior year with a mentor from business or industry, and sets up conversations with them to provide them with some real world experience or real world knowledge based on those partnerships. And then the students in their senior year move into an internship with a business or industry of their interest. And so that's something that they have built right into their curriculum that all of their students do. So we'll hear from them. We're going to hear from our own colleagues here at the college at SVCC, who partnered with a local business, Timken Drives from Fulton, to provide some virtual work-based learning experience for adult education students, and to see how that can be used within a curriculum as well as within a high school. And then we are also going to be joined by a professor from NIU who's going to share about problem-based learning in the classroom, how we can engage students, increase engagement for students, which increases their performance. And so we're looking forward to those really practical ways to help students really reconnect with their learning. So overall, the goal of the whole morning is just to provide practical information for our partners so that they can take some of those pieces, implement them immediately, as well as to present some models to challenge their traditional thoughts about what school looks like, about how school is delivered, and to really help them to think a little bit more outside of that traditional classroom setting.
Janice, this has been some great information and great conversation that we've had here this morning. Facebook friends, if you are listening and you are at all remotely interested in challenging your own thinking about education, about partnerships, if you're interested in learning more about how to re-engage students, how to bring innovation to our communities, how to build that culture where we're making the community our classroom. If you want to know more about partnership opportunities, or even this idea of reconnecting, join us for our annual College and Career Readiness Summit, I Hate School, Now What? On Friday, February 24th from 8:30 to noon on Zoom. Registration is currently open at our website at www.roe47.org. Janice, as we wrap up today, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us here this morning. It's always a pleasure talking all things college and career readiness with you, my friend. Janice Jones, past facilitator, college and career readiness guru at Sauk Valley Community College here in our very own Lee Ogle Whiteside County service area in Dixon, Illinois. That wraps us up for this edition of Teacher Talk. We hope that you've enjoyed our conversations here this morning. Please check out our post for additional information about the summit and how to register. And in the meantime, have a wonderful rest of your Thursday, and even better Friday. Hopefully a warmer, sunnier weekend. And we will see you right back here next Thursday for another edition of Teacher Talk.